Assalamu alaikum. Ahlan, welcome. Thank you so much for joining. Okay, I'm going to do the same here. Okay, thank you so much for joining. Welcome. Please share this live. Please follow us if you are not following us. Um, and one of the ways, in case you're new for whatever reason to TikTok, the way that you do that is you tap the screen, such as what I'm doing here. You'll see multiple hearts, and that's awakening the algorithm to let them know that there's a live conversation going on here in this on this particular channel. Thank you so much for joining. I see more are coming slowly but surely, inshallah. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for joining. Let's see if I can adjust my camera here. Okay, it's got me blurry. The background is almost blurry, not me. Okay, just waiting to see if we can get some more people in here before I start. Inshallah. Oh God, what just happened? Okay, there we go. Some glitches. Thank you so much for joining. Ahlan, welcome. Thank you so much for joining. I am Radia, and this is Radia's Real Talk podcast. We are streaming from TikTok. We are streaming also on uh, other channels as it relates to YouTube and Instagram. They are both entitled Radia's Real Talk Podcast. And then we're also on my if I can talk, business page on Facebook. And then we're also on Clubhouse in the house that is called Taking Care of Five Before Five. Okay. And it is Muslim Women Wednesday. So we want to make sure that uh, the sisters are repping today. So tag your sister, inshallah. Brother, you need to tag some brothers too, because they need to know. They need to know and stop being so oblivious as to. You all seen the title of the room, Why We Leave, why we are the initiators of divorce. So we're going to talk about that. Maybe, you all are too shy to say, but I'm not. I'm here to tackle those difficult subjects, taboo subjects, so that you know we're all on the same accord, inshallah. So I'm also going to tag some people that normally join me when they can. Um, let's see. I'm going to tag them on Clubhouse because that is the house you want to be in if you want to be heard. Inshallah. Let's see. Um, just a few of my regulars, see if they can join. Inshallah. Wonder why. I hope that's right. Okay. Okay, that was correct, I guess. Just gonna see who shows up or is able to show up. And as soon as I do that, we'll get started, inshallah. That's gonna be it. That's all I'm gonna tag. Um, I see others have joined. Thank you so much for joining. Welcome, ahlan. Assalamu alaikum. I don't know why it always has to do this. Okay. Just there's a hiccup over here on Instagram. Just bear with me. I don't know what's going on. I'm hoping I don't have to start it over or anything. Okay, let's see. Let's see if we can bring it back to life. Um, I wonder if I do this, what this will do. Let's see. I might have messed myself up. Just bear with me. I think I messed myself up. What? I might be here. Let me see. No. Um, wait. Just forgive me. Okay. There we are. Okay, we're back. Sorry about that. Okay. So we'll go ahead and get started. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, as-salatu rasulullah. Ahlan, welcome. Thank you all so much for joining. And for those of you who don't know, I am Radia, your host for tonight. It is Muslim Women Wednesday. Let me briefly explain what Muslim Women Wednesday are and the rules for those of you who don't know. So, Muslim Women Wednesday was a concept that was given to those of us who are the leading sisters in Muslim but Human by Hanif J. Williams. And this was supposed to be a day and a time in which we as sisters came together to celebrate one another, to acknowledge one another, to uplift one another, to advise one another, to admonish when need be, and or remind each other, right? And so, why reminding? Reminding benefits the believer. Alhamdulillah. So, we have kept that going for a good number of years now. We may be going into the fourth year or so with it, third or fourth year. Alhamdulillah, Allahumma barik. And though we were no longer doing it inside of Muslim but Human, um, which is in Clubhouse, Allah blessed me with a house taking care of 5 before 5. In fact, He blessed me with two. The other, in case you want to follow that one, is Muslim Storytellers. And so, because Allah blessed me with the house, I said, فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكَ مَا تُكَذِّبَانِ, which of the favors of your Lord will you deny? And I didn't want to deny any. So I said, let's keep it going inside of taking care of 5 before 5. And that's what we've been doing ever since. And so basically, on Muslim Women Wednesday, only sisters' voices are to be heard. So if any sister wants to talk, all you have to do, especially if you decide to come into Clubhouse, is just raise your hand and I'll bring you to the stage. And if anybody on TikTok wants to speak, let me know. And you have to be a sister. We're not doing the trolls, okay? And basically what we do is, whatever Allah brings to me, whether it's a conversation I've had with a sister, or a brother, something that Allah reveals to me via social media, a book, anything could be a topic for the conversation. And we are not saying that we follow these people, that we like these people, um, or are encouraging others to follow, like and or follow them either. We are just simply using the clip from the conversation that they used for their audience, for ours. And then we always bring it back to Islam. Much of the time, unfortunately, many of these clips come from non Muslims. And so we have to make sure that those that are Muslim and those that may consider Islam or are considering Islam can see it through the lens in which we see it, inshallah, whatever that topic may be. I do see others have joined us. Thank you so much for joining. If you all don't mind, if you all can share the love, share the room, share the live, simply by tapping the screen multiple times, that awakens the algorithm to let them know that we are having a live conversation here inside of Radia's Real Talk podcast, that particular channel, inshallah. And if you all decide to do your due diligence in searching uh, me out, you will see that I have numerous channels all over social media. I do ask kindly that you follow those as well, because I am a type of person, I compartmentalize. So each channel that I have is specific to different things. So I'm not, you may see the same things in the stories, but as it relates to the actual post, you will only see it on that particular channel. So it'd be good if you could follow that. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, which is also Radia's Real Talk Podcast, I do ask you do that and turn on your notifications so that you are alerted whenever we have conversations. And anytime that you want to come in Clubhouse and you're looking for any upcoming conversations that we'll have there, you can RSVP. Again, those two houses are taking care of 5 before 5 and Muslim storytellers. Okay, so um, we will begin. I do have not just one clip, but two. I have two clips today, two different clips, two different conversations, but nonetheless, it drives home the point of why we as sisters, why we as women leave or request a divorce or a talaq divorce or a khula, to meaning the marriage is annulled, as it's as if it didn't ever happen. Okay, so I want to tell you men, you brothers, that up and decide. There have been signs, and you miss them. Things, been expressions that we have had there, a number of signs that you didn't pay attention to. So we're going to let you in so that you can better understand. Okay. And, you know, and then, perhaps, you're married, um, or intended meaning intending to get married, someone that you're already having sit downs with, as we call them, and that's with the wali. This is not in private, okay? And perhaps in you're all having the sit downs. Perhaps you all are also. I pray Allah you will, if you aren't already doing premarital counseling. Um, but there may be some signs that are present that give you a clue. Maybe the person doesn't want to hurt your feelings, or they don't know how to express whatever it is that they may be thinking or feeling. So this is some things. This isn't everything, and so that's why we want this to be an interactive podcast. And this is always how I've described Clubhouse, an interactive podcast. Okay. So we want, sisters, after I play these clips, we want you to let us know, were they spot on? Was there other things that could have been said? Um, what would you do? How would you handle the situation? Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Barakallahu feek for joining. Welcome. If you are not following the channel, I would love for you to do so, inshallah. If you have not shared the live, please do that as well. We want as many brothers and sisters in here as possible, especially to hear the beginning of these. I'll play it more than once, but we want you to hear them from the beginning in its entirety, so that you can know what we're talking about, and share any thoughts that you may have, inshallah. So I'm going to play the first one. I pray Allah that um, the sound and everything works, inshallah. Bismillah.
Why are women often the first to leave relationships? I think that women are often the first to leave relationships because our communication tends to be a little bit more direct and clear. So we're often the first ones that saying that there's issues, and we're giving you a chance to work on it. And we're giving you a chance to work on it. and we give you a chance to work on it. So by the time we actually leave, it's like you forced our hand or we have been mentally left because you wasn't doing anything to keep me here. So it might look like she just got up one day and all of a sudden the love is gone because you wasn't paying attention. Y'all don't be listening. What's not clicking, Steven? Like you gotta pay attention to her mind and her heart gonna leave before her feet every time. That's why it looks like we leave first, but we be in it with y'all trying, fighting for our lives. All of my life I had to fight. We be trying, and y'all be sitting there like, I mean, she ain't going nowhere. And then when she goes somewhere, now it look like, yeah,
y'all ready to get mad at me? You also have women who do leave prematurely. You have women who don't have wise counsel. You have women who have abandonment and rejection wounds. You have women who are escape artists and they practice escapism. You have women who but you do have women who they're so afraid of rejection that they jump ship first. You have women who have abandonment wounds, and so to avoid feeling any sense of abandonment, they jump ship as soon as they get anxious or as soon as something seems like a threat. When people have trauma, their nervous system now responds to many things like it is a threat. Like anything, this can be a man sighing, a man not texting you back, a man not calling you, a man hanging out with his homeboys a couple of hours, and then you decide you want to leave the relationship. Also, the bad thing, especially because I'm a woman, I've done this before, is being around the wrong counsel. You're being around women, for one, you got women who are in the streets, you don't need to be getting counsel from them. But you also got women who are projecting their trauma into your relationship. And you also have frenemies as well. You also have the people, those supposed friends who want to see your downfall. And because they are not happy with their own life, they want to make you miserable because misery, y'all know it, misery enjoys company. And so, baby, you was completely right? On your end, you were absolutely right because that's true. But we are not going to take away from the fact that there really are some women who be damaging relationships that are actually good for them. They be sabotaging because of their own fears.
Okay, that's the first one. Okay. Hold on to your thoughts because we got one more. And the reason I'm playing this one is because for those of you who are familiar with Judge Mathis, he's always very insightful with the cases that he's presented, and he was just as insightful with his own situation. And so this is why I'm going to play this one. So many of you know, if you all do know Judge Mathis, his wife was going to divorce him. She asked for a divorce. She had the paperwork. She was ready to file a divorce and for the divorce, and he dropped everything. Okay. Now I even posted, I believe I posted that here on this channel, the initial video where I think it was TMZ that caught up with him in the midst of this time, when it first happened, and he was miserable, and he looked miserable. So there's much for you all to learn from this, and much for us to talk about. So that's why I decided let's play this clip too. Okay. All righty. Bismillah.
How do you describe those 3 weeks?
Well, of course, they were devastating and felt like I did when I lost my mother. That's the feeling I had. And I'd do anything to get my mother back. So I did anything to get my wife.
Linda, you were backstage when I asked Greg, what did you have in common with his mom? He said, y'all were very different. And I said, well, they're strong women in different ways. Mm-hmm. I called him originally to talk with him, and he said, got to wait on this one to say it was okay. Why did you find this to be the right time for you?
Well,
to talk about this?
As you mentioned, it's been a year now. And in that year, We did a lot of work. We learned each other again. We had enjoyed our time doing that each and every day. And it's just been progressively just great. I mean, every day it's been just wonderful.
You know, what is that song? Woman to Woman. That's the there's an old song my mom used to say, Betty, this is Shirley. Shirley's Betty. Woman to Woman.
Right.
Person to person. I think that stepping away from your marriage and stepping away from your family is not an easy decision for anyone, or to take a break, whatever you define it as. How do you, as a woman, explain that feeling of needing that moment to process who you are at that time?
Well, I have always, like you said, I supported him always. And at that time, I felt I needed to just take care of me. And that's what I felt I was doing at that time.
Okay. There you have it. Those of you who have heard both clips, what are your thoughts? It is Muslim Women Wednesday. Ahlan, welcome. Thank you so much for joining. We want to know what you thought about the two clips, why we as women leave, why we check out. Okay. Unfortunately, many of our brothers are clueless. You know, if they are not in tune with you, right, then they have missed any signs, any hints. Be very direct. Whatever it is that you want or need, be very direct. You know, and don't be so quick to check out. Always see if there's a way that you all can get StreamYard, because it acts up ever since I added my correct me. Let's see. Yeah. I was just seeing if I could to try to fix something. Yeah, this is really not the time to do that, I guess. Okay, let me get back out of it. So anyone that was here that heard both clips, what are your thoughts? Not being so quick to leave without the last straw should be the marital counseling. That should be the absolute last straw. You should be able to say to your husband, you know, I've been sharing some things with you for quite some time, and I've not gotten any response. That being said, I think, you know, it's time for counseling. Now, if he objects to that because he's in his feelings and feeling as though to him counseling looks like someone in my business, and he rejects it, then, you know, let him know, well, I'm out. This is it for me, you know. For that last step, if you can get to someone that he respects, to talk to him first and say, you know, if you can't talk some sense into him or get him to understand what I've been saying, you know, I'm willing to do counseling to try to, you know, get to the root of this and fix this. But if he rejects that, I'm out. You know, again, utilize your wali for this. Utilize, again, those he respects, those he wouldn't feel like just one more brother in my business kind of thing. you know? Um, so just I want you to help me out. Be some things that would have happened to make you feel as though it's time for me to go. I need to go. Assalamu alaikum, Ahlan, welcome. Thank you so much for joining. Oops, I meant to do that. We want other sisters in here. It is Muslim Women Wednesday. So we want to hear from our sisters. What are your thoughts about why we as women leave? Why we are the ones who initiate divorce? That conversation. That's what we're talking about today. We want to clue our brothers in who may not know. Okay? And or give our sisters who a voice, give them some words, to help them in their situation. Maybe this is, what they feel like, what they're going through, right? So we want to help them. We know that divorce is permissible, but we also want to think about what it could do to the family, what it could do to the children. I mean, if it's a good thing, if it's a domestic situation, I'm sorry, that's it for me. Ain't no counseling on that. That's just me. You put your hands on me, that's it. Okay? Inshallah. That's never happened to me. I know we all could say what we'll do if we were in that situation, but I'm almost positive that would be it for me. Knowing what I've been through already, and then a new man, a different man after that? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. No, man. Mm-mm. Okay, so alhamdulillah, I see others have joined. Assalamu alaikum and ahlan, welcome. Thank you so much for joining. It's Muslim Women Wednesday. Sisters, we want to hear from you. We want to help our other sisters as well as our brothers so they know why it is that we leave, why we are the first to say, I think it's time for a divorce, or I'm ready to go ahead and get that divorce, right? So we want to hear from you, okay? What I'm going to do, since there's so many of you that have just joined, as I always do, is I, tend to replay my clips, and I'm hoping that in my doing that, that might jog some memory or give you an aha. I want you to take notes because I've got two clips. It's not just one, it's two clips. Okay. But they really didn't even say what the reasons were why they opted to leave. So we want to change that. We want to give, our whatever we're going through in our marriages a voice. Okay. So I'm going to play the first clip again. If you happen to have a pen and pad, go ahead and get that ready because some things may come to you and you want to jot them down, okay? Or if you want to use the chat here so that you can use that as things come up, that's fine, okay? So here's the first one. Bismillah.
Why are women often the first to leave relationships? I think that women are often the first to leave relationships because our communication tends to be a little bit more direct and clear. So we're often the first ones that's saying that there's issues and we're giving you a chance to work on it. And we give you a chance to work on it. And we give you a chance to work on it. So by the time we actually leave, it's like you forced our hand or we have been mentally left because you wasn't doing anything to keep me here. So it might look like she just got up one day and all of a sudden the love is gone because you wasn't paying attention. Y'all don't be listening. What's not clicking, Steven? Like you gotta pay attention to her mind and her heart gonna leave before her feet every time. That's why it looks like we leave first, but we be in it with y'all trying, fighting for our lives. All my life I had to fight. We be trying, and y'all be sitting there like, I mean, she ain't going nowhere. And then when she goes somewhere, now it look like, yeah, women is the first one to leave. She tried to stay. What did you do to keep her? That's the thing.
You also have women. Y'all ready to get mad at me? You also have women who do leave prematurely. You have women who don't have wise counsel. You have women who have abandonment and rejection wounds. You have women who are escape artists and they practice escapism. You have women who But you do have women who they're so afraid of rejection that they jump ship first. You have women who have abandonment wounds, and so to avoid feeling any sense of abandonment, they jump ship as soon as they get anxious or as soon as something seems like a threat. When people have trauma, the nervous system now responds to many things like it is a threat. Like anything, this can be a man sighing, a man not texting you back, a man not calling you, a man hanging out with his homeboys a couple of hours, and then you decide you want to leave the relationship. Also, the bad thing, especially because I'm a woman, I've done this before, is being around the wrong counsel. You're being around women. For one, you got women who are in the streets, you don't need to be getting counsel from them. But you also got women who are projecting their trauma into your relationship. And you also have frenemies as well. You also have the people, those supposed friends who want to see your downfall. And because they are not happy with their own life, they want to make you miserable because misery, y'all know it, misery enjoys company. And so, baby, you was completely right? On your end, you were absolutely right, because that's true. But we are not going to take away from the fact that there really are some women who be damaging relationships that are actually good for them. They be sabotaging because of their own fears.
Okay, there's number one. Clip number one. Now for clip number two. Bismillah.
How do you describe those 3 weeks?
Well, of course, they were devastating and felt like I did when I lost my mother. That's the feeling I had. And I'd do anything to get my mother back. So I did anything to get my wife back.
Linda, you were backstage when I asked Greg, what did you have in common with his mom? He said, y'all are very different. And I said, well, there are strong women in different ways. Mm-hmm. I called him originally to talk with him, and he said, got to wait on this one to say it was okay. Why did you find this to be the right time for you to talk about this?
As you mentioned, it's been a year now. And in that year, we did a lot of work. We learned each other again. We had enjoyed our time doing that each and every day. And it's just been progressively just great. I mean, every day it's been just wonderful.
What is that song? Woman to Woman. There's an old song my mom used to say, Betty, this is Shirley's Betty, Woman to Woman. Right. Person to person. Mm-hmm. I think that stepping away from your marriage and stepping away from your family is not an easy decision for anyone, or to take a break, whatever you define it as. How do you, as a woman, explain that feeling of needing that moment to process who you are at that time?
Well, I have always, like you said, I supported him always. And at that time, I felt I needed to just take care of me. And that's what I felt I was doing at that time.
Ooh, excuse me. All right. So those are the two clips that I have played. What are your thoughts? Ooh, excuse me. I think my children are cooking something with some pepper. Put too much. Sorry. Ooh. So what are your thoughts about what you heard? Excuse me. Sisters, what would be some of the reasons why you would leave? Of course, none of these have really said what reasons women have had for leaving. I do know in the case of Judge Mathis and his wife, he spent too much time away. Spent way too much time away. Way too much time away. she wasn't always, whenever he went away, she wasn't always with him. These were that was just a small clip, and that to me, there was different snippets of the show, and I watched it in its entirety, and then I actually, this was the clip that I stumbled upon first, and I said, "Oh, let me see if I can find the whole video." And so, alhamdulillah, Allah blessed me to do such. And so I went back to this one because the reason being is because for those of you who have been following this account for a while, I originally had posted when the news broke that his wife was filing for a divorce. And TMZ, I think it was, that caught up with him in the airport and asked how he was doing, and he didn't look good at all. He didn't look good at all. Okay. So, and I already knew, how much he really loved his wife. And, I don't know how, he allowed things to get that far out of control. And I don't know what, if anything, she said until it got to the point, well, you know what? You're not hearing me. So I'm just going to go ahead and file for the divorce. Now, she did say, again, I saw the full video, that while she was saying they were working on themselves, getting to know themselves again, even in the process of where it had reached the divorce status, where she had the papers and everything, they still stayed in the house. And why am I mentioning that? Because even in Islam, right, we are to stay in the house. If as long as it's not a khula, it's a talaq, we are to stay in the house. Why? To see if we can't rectify the situation, ourselves. And then also, this is when the time that we should seek counsel. We should have our people, our wali, our team sitting with us. That at the time of the nikah, I would hope whoever had drawn up the contract, that the counsel would have been that if in the event arguments come, as they will, or difficulties arise, that each should have someone from their side, that they can bring to the table, and they all discuss, because everyone should have a vested interest in the cohesiveness of this marriage. You don't just officiate marriages and that you're released. If you're the wali, you're not released. You still want to check in. This is a new relationship. These people are getting to know one another, and there's in many cases, us as women, especially if we grew up, as Muslims, we were born and raised Muslim. We went from our father's house to our husband's house. So, and if she had no other male figure other than her father, this whole dynamic of getting to know a male, is all new to her. Trying to learn how to speak to you, how to get along with you, what you like, what you don't like. Her letting her guard down so that you can learn her better, what she likes, what she doesn't like, and things of this nature. And of course, me, I'm going to go back to the way it should be, thinking of the end at the beginning. So first and foremost, we include the wali from the door. From the door. We are not having any conversations, even in a public setting, because how would anybody who walks in, seeing you at a park or at a restaurant, how would they know that you all are not married if you're alone together? People would naturally assume, oh, so-and-so got married. No, we don't want people being suspicious of us, wondering whether or not we are married or we're not. So it's best when we're not married to have that wali there, you know, and the same with any email, texting, FaceTime, what have you. That wali has to be there. He has to be there. And I always say to sisters, when it comes to the wali finding a husband, I want him vetted. I don't even want to have a conversation with him. And, you know, because what sisters tend to do, and some brothers, unfortunately, it don't help the situation. Oh, well, you know, like you finally give me his phone number or give him my phone number, setting up the person you are in charge of for failure, because we are not supposed to go near Zina. Near Zina is having these private conversations without the wali. Your wali is not your daughter. You know, for those of you who don't have sons, your wali is not your daughter. The qualifications for the wali is he's sound, meaning he is of right mind. He is Muslim, and he has had experience with marriage. You know, he could be presently divorced, but you know, he's had, you know, in the event of his, you know, having been formerly married, you know, he had, you know, at least had a good 5 year run. Okay, it was a good marriage. It didn't end on bad terms, you know, or whatever the case may be. But he has to have had some experience with marriage, be Muslim, and of sound mind. I was pregnant with any of my children. You know, I never knew if I had a boy or girl, but you know, I'm like I would, you know, since I said I had the conversation that you were my wali from the moment you were born, the moment you were in my womb. I started the conversation letting you know that after your father, you are my wali. You are to see to all of my needs, and as well as your siblings, especially, you know, the girls. You know, alhamdulillah, I've got more than one, and they should come together to see to everyone's needs, right? It shouldn't just be, you know, how some families, um, the oldest son, the oldest daughter. No, I don't. And the reason I'm against that is because, you know, I was raised with a sister. She's older than myself. However, she did not have certain maturity as I did. So a lot more things were expected of me, and they were a lot harder on me, and things of this nature. Don't ask. I've asked the question and they don't know. But anyway, um, so you know, once I learned this, I felt that this was not just. There's two of us. Why is everything on me? Why is the expectation only on me? It should be balanced. And this is what I tell my children. I say, if in the event I can't take care of myself, there's four of you. You know, you got to take turns. You know, obviously, I would want to be with my girls, because if in the event I can't, literally cannot take care of myself, meaning bathe myself, well, not feed myself, any of them could do that, but bathing myself, I would only want my girls doing that, you know, so that kind of thing. But, and I told them that I said, I never want any one child to feel like everything falls on them. I never wanted that. You know, there are times that it has happened, but you know, my intention is never for it to be or remain that way. Okay. So yeah. So I want to hear from some of you other sisters. Unfortunately, nobody has joined me inside of Clubhouse. Well, there was somebody and then they left, but um, matter of fact, let me see. I don't know if this sister is with her spouse or not, but perhaps she can join. So I want to hear what some of you sisters have to say so that our brothers know, you know, what would be some of the reasons why you would leave? You know, what things are your non-negotiables? These are all things that should be talked about again at the beginning. Premarital counseling at the beginning. All of these things should be discussed at the beginning during premarital counseling. If you've never been educated on marriage, I strongly suggest whatever courses that Imam Shadid Muhammad has, that you take them. You know, they're always very thorough, very comprehensive. The one that I took, he's no longer offering, so I'm not even going to mention it anymore. I mean, it's been a number of years, and so I was like, okay, he's not going back to that. And then Dr. Anisa Nadir, she has a course before the NECAP, very thorough also, and she draws upon others to help her to teach the course. So it's not just her; it's a number of people. Okay, so I strongly always suggest that you educate yourself about who you are, your roles, rights, and responsibilities as it relates to marriage. Okay, so sisters, what would be some reasons? Okay, we've always had these marriage conversations, inside of Clubhouse, and really, brothers really don't know, and sisters, you all might be hinting, and this is part of the problem too. You're hinting as opposed to being very vocal, or having your wali, or um your parents or sister or brother, because maybe you feel that you can't, or that he doesn't listen to you, that he doesn't hear you, or whatever the case may be. I know in my case, Allah revealed to me. I mean, there were things I said prior to, but Allah revealed to me in the month of Ramadan, because the shayateen are locked up, the bigger of the shayateen, right? Because you still have your Kareem. This is the time. And I felt horrible. I I didn't speak on it right away. Anytime anything comes to me, I don't speak on it right away. I unless, I get that push. And I was like, oh, all I was thinking about is I'm going to ruin his Ramadan. I can't do that. But what kept coming back to me is your complaint is he doesn't hear you. He doesn't listen. This is the time that he will hear you. So I ran with it, and he heard me loud and clear, loud and clear. And maybe, that might be something that, for you sisters who are in this right now, something that you may want to do as well, is to have this conversation. Ramadan is right around the corner. I mean, I wouldn't wait that long, but especially if it's a pressing need, I wouldn't wait that long. But that was me, and it wasn't like I was waiting like that. It just, out the blue, do it now. And I was like, okay. I keep thinking of different people that I need to invite to this conversation. Let me hold on one second. There you go. Okay. So I'm going to play these two clips again, because I do see that more have joined us. Alhamdulillah. Ahlan, welcome. Thank you all so much for joining. If you have not followed this account, I would love for you to do so. One of the things I'm trying to do in growing this account is to get it to 10K, inshallah, so that this is completely monetized anytime I make any posts here. And then, of course, the same with, YouTube and Instagram as well. If I could get any and all of those to 10K, if for whatever reason, you all are unable to donate, you don't want to donate, the least that you could do, the best currency after that, of course, is, or not even after, but before that, is dua. The second being sharing. We all can share. One other way you all can share, since you're here right now, is doing this, tapping the screen multiple times, alerting your people who are connected to you. Hey, I'm in here. I'm in this room. Come check it out. Come check out this live, right? Or you could take that arrow that's at the bottom, and those that are not on the app, you can send it to them, inshallah. But it's Muslim Women Wednesday, and we only hear sisters' voices today. So if any sisters would like to speak, we would love to hear what you have to say. What would be the reason, and how many times? Like I said this before, that if a brother decided to put his hands on me, that's the first and only time. Inshallah. I have to say inshallah, because many a times we come across sisters who are in domestic situations. Woo, girl, if that was me, da 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 da. Well, we don't know unless we're actually in that situation. For me, just not having been in that situation, I can say that I have zero tolerance for that. And you're not gonna get a second chance, because I have heard from many sisters who've been in domestic situations, that if they do leave and then for whatever reason they decide to go back, it only got worse. So I'm not doing that. I'm too old for that. I don't want that. And so that would be the straw that broke the camel's back for me. Prior to that, and these again, going back to what, preparing for the sit downs, preparing for the premarital counseling, you could say, arguing in front of someone, calling you out your name, yelling at you, those could be your non-negotiables. And if, sometimes the conversation does get a little heated, right? Or we get a little too passionate. And so maybe you need to remind that person. But if you see that you can't, this is something that you have had to do more than once, right? You're like, you know what? I done said this too many times. I've said it in the heat of the discussion or argument, and I've said it outside of it, right? It'd be best, the person would hear you better outside of it, right? So you could try both approaches. And if, you don't see anything has come as a result of that, and then, another time may come and he's going from, 10 to 100 with the quickness, and he's yelling at you, your children or your mother, or in-laws are around, siblings around, people are around, you can say, you know what, I need to leave. Either, to cool off, go make the wudu. That's what we do when we're angry. First things first, we make wudu to extinguish the fire, right? And or if we're sitting down, lay down. If we're standing up, sit down. If you're sitting down, lay down. You're just taking doing as much as you can to diffuse the situation. And if you have a loud enough voice, maybe you could be louder than the person. Or what I also see that has worked, because I've done it, you just keep speaking in a low voice. And they know they can't hear you. And that usually is something that helps too. As an outsider, it's sad to hear that these types of behaviors need to be discussed. A man who has these behaviors is not marriage material. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's why, like I said, going back to the role of the wali, have that wali vet him. I see too often where women are taking the lead themselves and saying, or they're encouraging, women to do your homework, do this, that. No, your homework is finding yourself a wali, a protector. A man knows that if a woman isn't protected and he's that type of man, he got you. He got you. And he may know exactly what to say to get you committed to him, to get you to go ahead and marry him, right? And so and men know each other, right? Men know each other. Iron sharpens iron, game keeps game. So if he's the type of person that, he's always been about games, and he meets someone who used to be a player, who used to be about games, or, who, is wise beyond his years and can see right through anybody who's like that. You want that brother as your wali. You want him vetting these brothers on your behalf, right? Inshallah. Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Barakallahu fiki for joining. Ahlan, welcome. And so we want to always start there. But I'm going to play these clips again, because again, I do see more have joined us. Alhamdulillah. And so I want you to hear the 2 clips that I have been playing, and I want to hear your thoughts. And, sisters, since it's, Muslim Women Wednesday, you know what to do. Raise your hand and come on stage with me and share your piece, inshallah. And of course, if you don't feel like talking, you can use the chat. So I'm going to play the first clip. Of course, they're not saying what would be reasons, but I do want you to hear what they're saying nonetheless. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This for that.
Why are women often the first to leave relationships? I think that women are often the first to leave relationships because our communication tends to be a little bit more direct and clear. So we're often the first ones that saying that there's issues, and we're giving you a chance to work on it. And we give you a chance to work on it. And we give you a chance to work on it. So by the time it looked like she just got up one day and all of a sudden the love is gone because you wasn't paying attention. Y'all don't be listening. What's not clicking, Steven? Like you gotta pay attention to her mind and her heart gonna leave before her feet every time. That's why it looks like we leave first, but we be in it with y'all trying, fighting for our lives. All my life I had to fight. We be trying, and y'all be sitting there like, she ain't going nowhere. And then when she goes somewhere, now it look like, yeah, women is the first one to leave. She tried to stay. What did you do to keep her?
You also have women. Y'all ready to get mad at me? Who don't have wise counsel. You have women who are escape artists, and they practice escapism. You have women who But you do have women who they're so afraid of rejection that they jump ship first. You have women who have abandonment wounds, and so to avoid feeling any sense of abandonment, they jump ship as soon as they get anxious or as soon as something seems like a threat. When people have trauma, their nervous system now responds to many things like it is a threat. Like anything, this can be a man sighing, a man not texting you back, a man not calling you, a man hanging out with his homeboys a couple of hours, and then you decide you want to leave the relationship. Also, the bad thing, especially because I'm a woman, I've done this before, is being around the wrong counsel. You're being around women, for one, you got women who are in the streets, you don't need to be getting counsel from them. But you also got women who are projecting their trauma into your relationship. And you also have frenemies as well. You also have the people, those supposed friends who want to see your downfall. And because they are not happy with their own life, they want to make you miserable, because misery, y'all know it, misery enjoys company. And so, baby, you was completely right? On your end, you were absolutely right, because that's true. But we are not going to take away from the fact that there really are some women who be damaging relationships that are actually good for them. They be sabotaging because of their own fears.
Okay, that's clip number 1. And now for clip number 2. Bismillah.
How do you describe those 3 weeks?
Well, of course, they were devastating and felt like I did when I lost my mother. That's the feeling I had. And I'd do anything to get my mother back. So I did anything to get my wife.
Linda, you were backstage when I asked Greg, what did you have in common with his mom? He said, y'all are very different. I said, well, they're strong women in different ways. I called him originally to talk with him, and he said, gotta wait on this one to say it was okay. Why did you find this to be the right time for you
Well,
to talk about this?
as you mentioned, it's been a year now. And in that year, we did a lot of work. We learned each other again. We had enjoyed our time doing that each and every day. And it's just been progressively just great. I mean, every day it's been just wonderful.
What that song, Woman to Woman, there's an old song my mom used to say, Betty, this is Shirley's, but Woman to Woman.
Right.
Person to person. I think that stepping away from your marriage and stepping away from your family is not an easy decision for anyone, or to take a break, whatever you define it as. How do you, as a woman, explain that feeling of needing that moment to process who you are at that time?
Well, I have always, like you said, I supported him always. And at that time, I felt I needed to just take care of me. And that's what I felt I was doing at that time.
Okay. So for those of you who have, what are your thoughts? What has come to you? What would be some reasons why you would be so quick to request a divorce? And maybe you're not being quick about it. Maybe you've said something for several months, in some cases, some years. What would be something that would have you to do something like that? And again, I always say, because this is what we should be doing when we first get married anyway, that we have the people in place that have our best interest and that will check in on us and make sure that we're good, right? Especially that Waleed, right? And as I said before, Waleed, you're not off the hook once you have, gotten her married to a brother. You're not off the hook. You want to make sure she's safe. You want to make sure she's good. And sisters, brothers too, you all don't have to get move in together as soon as you have gotten married. You can date each other, right? And I advise that, especially if a sister is getting married again, or even a brother getting married again, and you have children. This man is a complete stranger, not only to you, but to your children. And you want to ease into this. This is your stepmother, this is your stepfather, these are your steps brothers and sisters. And at no time, just because two people marry and it's a blended family, are you to have these children thinking that they're brother and sister and that they can be alone. They have different mothers and fathers. They can even marry, okay, because of that. So I need to make that clear. Some people are very confused by that, and they'll leave siblings with one another. That's wrong. You can't leave these children with one another without proper supervision or a chaperone. Okay, so want to say that. And then, my nasiha for sisters too is your 15-year-old son should not be your wali. He can be part of your team, but he should not be the one that marries you to a brother. Why? because more than likely that particular brother, especially if, he is street smart and he may have narcissistic tendencies or some of these other isms and things, right? He performed in front of your son. He's the good brother, right? And so you only having your son to protect you, who's not had experience in marriage, had experience in dealing with grown men much older than him. Mm-mm. He's, unless Allah gives him akal, wisdom, hikmah, he's not going to see it, to be able to protect you. I mean, maybe he knows martial arts, this, and the other. I'm not talking about that. And then, those who know how to, if they have witnessed dysfunction and harm and wish, to harm you at some point, they know what to do, when to do it, how to do it, for how long, and they'll lay it on thick. That charm, they'll lay on that charm thick. Your 15-year-old son ain't gonna know what's coming, and he will have, he will, have missed some of the signs that, a grown Muslim man, yes, your father, your brother who isn't Muslim can be part of the team. They cannot be your wali. They cannot marry you to a Muslim brother. No, it has to be a Muslim who has had some marital experience. Okay. And I said earlier, minimum, I would say, this is just me, of 5 years of marriage, whether that's, he's only been married 5 years to his current wife, or he's, and having been married before, maybe he only had 5 years, in that marriage, but he's had some experience, and if indeed he is a good brother, and your imam has recommended him, as many imams do, they have their right hand men, or their or the second imam of said masjid, and he's the one that is he's the wali over sisters, right? Something like that. So and I can't stress enough, premarital counseling before you get married, the wali from day one, wali vetting, background check, mental health checks. He's seen him with his family, especially his women folk, right? All of these things. He's seen him interact with brothers, be it blood and or non-blood brothers. He has seen him at the masjid for every prayer, especially Fajr. These kinds of things. He regularly attends a particular masjid. The people of that community know him, not know of him, but know him, right? All of those kinds of things. But we need to have a list of things that that we can share with our brothers as to what would make us want to leave. Okay. I mentioned just being disrespectful, raising his voice, arguing, in front of others, insulting, pessimistic, cursing, drinking, not, getting up for prayer, not going to the masjid. What are your non-negotiables? What would be the straw that broke the camel's back as to why you would leave? Your Zoj, if there's certain behaviors he has exhibited, what is, again, this is something you might want to, know at the beginning, obviously before you marry, But if you're already married and you all didn't do that or you weren't advised to do that, you're here now. When you know better, you do better. You know, how many times, can he continue to do or act or show or not show or be, or do whatever it is that, is your non-negotiable before you're like, you know what, I'm out. I'm tired. I'm tired of trying with you, you know. Or if in the event of your mentioning, okay, I think it's time we need to get counseling. And if you can go, I ain't going nowhere. Or if in the event, you're saying something to the brother and and he's been married a few times before you. It wasn't me. I'm, I'm loyal. I for wives being the ones who have initiated and sought after the divorce, then there's something wrong with him. And Allah, for whatever reason, has sealed his senses and he's not aware. And maybe he needs to look in the mirror. Someone needs to show him what he really looks like, to show him what he really acts like, right? And usually in marriages, that's what we are to one another. We're the mirror for each other. Not only the covering, but the mirror too, right? Because men, you all set the tone for the home. We inshallah, we make a house a home, but it is you as brothers who set the tone for the home. Am I right or wrong? Let's see some things going on in the chat. Okay, right. Black Muslimah said right. Okay. You set the tone. Now, brothers, let me share this with you. And some of you all may be in this very situation. If you notice when it's time, if you have a regular schedule, even if you don't, and the house has been made aware of what time to expect you for dinner or whatever the case may be, right? And if you notice that not only does your wife not like greet you at the door or your children, but you walk in the house saying your Bismillah, Assalamu alaikum, you ain't even sure if anybody is there at home. The car may be there, but you don't hear anything. You don't see anybody. You have to go literally look for people. Or, be louder with your Assalamu alaikum so that, inshallah, they'll respond back. If you've noticed that this is something that continually happens, I'm going to tell you there's a problem. There's a problem with how you behave, how you treat people, how you talk to people. And it's better for them to just not be anywhere near you until you call for them so that they can, make sure there's some sort of peace. I promise you, if that is going on, you have done something. Not just one thing, a series of things, or not done something, or not done a series of things. And you need to ask what's going on. Why isn't your wife greeting you at the door? I mean, I can see it if, she was preparing for you and she didn't finish by the time you came to the door. But soon thereafter, she should, have presented herself in such a way to you so as to greet you. But if you find that she is not doing that, I promise you it's something you've done, something you've said, or a mixture of the two. I promise you that. Because I would hope that we as sisters are passing on that information, or that we have seen this ourselves in our homes growing up. That my mom always greeted my father when he came home. Or that my mom my Umi always saw my father off before he went to work. My Umi always served my father. If you don't see those kinds of things, having husnul done of the sister, perhaps she wasn't properly trained and she does not know to do this. But if she knows to do this and she has stopped doing it, I promise you, brothers, it's something you did or you said or a combination of the two. And you need to check yourself. You need to check in with her. I've been noticing, matter of fact, I don't even know when this started or stopped, but you used to greet me at the door. You used to pack my lunch. You used to pack my suitcase. You used to, and it just dawned on me. I heard this conversation inside a Clubhouse on social media, and she said some things that made me think, well, you know what? She's right. She used to fix my lunch so that I would have lunch to take with me to work every day. She used to greet me at the door. She used to see me off to work. I don't remember when it stopped and why it stopped. What have I done? That would be, if I were a brother, that would be the first thing I would ask my wife. What did I do? Or what haven't I done? Okay. Another thing that sisters may be tired of, brothers, when it comes to intimacy, you're not giving her foreplay. And foreplay doesn't mean fondling her. Okay. That doesn't mean, when I get home, I want you. No, that's not it. Foreplay is setting the tone. Maybe if you're not accustomed to doing it, helping her with the chores of the house. Every now and then, if you're not accustomed to, spending time, I despise hearing whether it's a brother or a sister saying, well, it was my husband's turn to babysit. No, these are his children. Ain't no babysitting. He needs to spend time with those children. It's his time to spend time with the children. My husband's giving me my me time. My husband's giving me an allowance. My husband is cooking with me. My husband is cooking for me. Now, I'm going to say this because I've had to say this to some sisters. I guess the sister was so enamored by the way in which her husband was towards her that she would share so much of what her husband did for her to these sisters. And many of us sisters had to pull it to the side. Stop doing that. I think, do you know how many sisters don't get what you've got, who long to have what you have? You are positioning yourself to have ayn and hafid on you. If not black magic. Stop it. Stop it. Okay. So, sisters, we're trying to help our brothers to know some of the reasons why we as his wives might want to call it quits. Why we're the first to initiate that conversation. I want a divorce, or we need to have counseling. So, yeah, the evil eye is real, very real. Okay. So, you want to protect that as much as possible. If you post some pictures of the two of you, I hope you're at least minimally saying Bismillah before you do it. Minimally. If you know the dua to protect yourself, or some people don't, I don't know. Some things that our brothers and sisters don't know. So if you're going to post something, put something on there that will erase because they have to read it at least, even if they don't think to say it to themselves, that you're saying Allahumma barik, okay, in whatever form you need to say it. Allahumma barik alay, Allahumma barik alayhuna, whatever. Why? Because these are specific words towards the protection of Ain and Hasad. These are specific to that. Not mashallah, not tabaraka Allah, not mashallah tabaraka Allah. No. Those are not the appropriate words to protect you or that person from Ain and Hasad. We are leaving ourselves too open for it. And we wonder what happened. They used to be the couple goals, all these kinds of things, right? Somebody didn't say Allahumma barik. Oh, that looks so good on you. Oh, Allahumma barik. Or you, girl, you lost so much weight. Allahumma barik. It's to protect yourself and that person. So many sisters want a good marriage, a good man, and they know that you have one. You can't expect them to remember or even to know to say Allahumma barik to protect yourself. So we got to, do better by that. If this is the best relationship, for those of you who've been married more than once and you finally met your soulmate and you want to keep things the way they are, fresh, go on dates, I always, me, that's something I always talk about. Date night, okay, or just go on a random picnic or do something random. Spontaneity can be good. I know some people don't like surprises, this kind of thing. Learn each other's love languages. Learn this before the nikah, or again, you might already be married. Oh, we need to have that conversation. Don't assume because you've been married to a brother or sister 5, 10, 15, 20 years that they know your love language. They should, right? They should, but I promise you, if they've never heard of this, if it was something that was never discussed, they have no idea. So that's a new conversation that you all can begin to have. I'm the type of person, I'm an observer. I've always been that way. And so I'm going to see, there are certain things that they may do or say, or places they like to go, or things they like to eat or snack on. Brothers, you need to pay attention to these same things too. And just, while you're out, oh, you know what? Let me get that for her. How long has it been since she's had that? Or just because. No birthday things, no anniversaries, none of that. We don't do that. But just because, everybody can do that. That has nothing to do with paganism. That has nothing to do with imitating the kuffar. And that is something that we are safe with. Just because. I got this for you just because I was thinking about you. Or, whatever the case may be. Okay? I think I see some things going on. Yeah, neither Mabruk. Okay. Yeah. Mabruk isn't sufficient either. Rana, I'm not familiar with you, and I always want to make sure that whoever requests anything from me, especially with this being Muslim Women Wednesday, is a woman. So I'm not familiar with who you are. I apologize. I don't like trolls, so I'm just trying to protect myself from that. Okay. Excuse me. So sisters, what would be some things that we can share with our brothers as to why we would want to end the marriage? They, some of our brothers, I'm telling you, they don't know. If you've been saying the same thing, doing the same thing, I think I know I have. I've shared with you all. I know we were well past 10 years. I had been fixing, I knew that my ex liked eggs, one of two ways, three ways actually. And so the request was, a particular way. So I presented it to him. And he finally, after more than 10 years, said, you know what? I don't like that. That's not how I like, you know, I know that, he didn't say this, but when it comes to that in particular, I don't like it like that. And I'm like, you told me what you like. And, again, I'm an observer. I see him fix it for himself if I'm not able, whatever the case may be. And yet, every time I fix it, when he requested that particular way, I fix it the same way every time. And I was like, and I'm supposed to know this how? 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 So I'm telling you, if you don't say anything, no one knows. Don't keep it to yourself. Not fulfilling our emotional needs, lack of religiosity, lack of communication. Yes, absolutely. So, then not being emotionally available. Yes, absolutely. Sisters are getting that list. Alhamdulillah, barakah fikuna. Those, yes, absolutely. Not practicing emotional intelligence, right? Um, always wanting to be right, have the last word, um, always want to argue, come on. Anyone else with any other things that our brothers need to be clued in on as to, you know, if it's done one too many times, that's where you draw the line. Okay. Any other ones? What else? Oh, I know a big one. Nobody said this. Maybe you all are afraid to say it. You're not satisfied. And I do mean in the bed, but you're not satisfied. Let me tell you something, brothers. We as sisters are supposed to be satisfied before you. Why is that? Because in many cases, it takes more effort for us to achieve an orgasm. So we are supposed to be satisfied first. With pre-ejaculation, right? That's something you need to work on. But satisfy your wife first. Okay. Okay, let's see. No understanding of women, i.e., the basics of what we need. Especially if they always hurt us. We won't be in the right mood for that. Yes. So many sisters, going along with what I just said, not being satisfied. Don't expect if we had an argument that I want you on top of me or I want to be on top. None of that. No sex. In fact, many forget this sunnah. You got 3 days. 3 days. Give me my 3 days. At least. Give me my 3 days. Like, I get it. I get right. But what about empathy? Yes, empathy. Absolutely. 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 Put yourself in your wife's shoes. I know that would be difficult because men think differently, but again, we teach each other how we want to be treated. So, if your wife spoke to you in the way that you spoke to her, that would be new shoes. That would be marital discord, would it not? But because you're the man, you're the imam of the house, it's okay for you to say and do it. No, man, no, man. No, man. It's not. And that's where, many of us, we draw the line. making us feel like we're soldiers or maids or, things like this. And many brothers have the expectation that it is the wife who does the cooking and cleaning. Well, let me tell you something about the cooking part. If you look at the profession of chefs, right? Globally, it's a male dominated field. When I lived overseas, I don't recall one. I really would have to rack my brain. I don't recall ever seeing a woman being one of the chefs ever. Not one restaurant. And we ate out plenty. Trust and believe. Not one. So why is it that it's the expectation once she marries you that this is what she is supposed to do? Why can't you learn how to cook? Why can't you all cook together? I'm just saying. Lighten her load. I talked about foreplay. That would be something very helpful. That is a form of foreplay. I promise you. If she is the one who normally does everything, she gets up in the middle of the night when children are sick, in the middle of the night, and you do happen to hear it. No, baby, I got it. You stay asleep. I got you. I got it. Right? Take the initiative. Not the wife should never ask you. Can you do this tonight? No, we're in this together. Maybe like act like they fake sleep until that other person gets up. No. Don't do that. I mean, you all decide, and we've talked before about check-ins. Don't let 2 weeks go by before you all check in with one another to find out, are we good? Is there anything else I can improve upon? Don't let 1 month go by and you all have not had one date night or one date. Doesn't have to be at night, but one date. That's just me. And I'm basing it off, what I did and didn't have in my former marriages and what I have heard from other sisters as well. Don't do that. Me personally, I'm the type of person I get bored quickly. So change is good. Okay. Let's see. Being lazy or always on his phone or playing video games is also not okay. Yes. You all set up those rules. Decide when, or how often or how long video games can be played. How long you can be in your man cave, right? Those are the things you want to set up beforehand, right? Yes, quality time. The priorities need to be in order. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. I do see others have joined. Thank you so much for joining us. Assalamu alaikum. Ahlan. Welcome. If you all have not followed the house, please follow the house. If you have not followed our channels on YouTube, Instagram, what's the other one? TikTok, Radia's Real Talk Podcast, please do so. As it relates to YouTube, subscribe, turn on the notifications, all of those things, inshallah. And I thank you all so much. You all were just warming up, but I do need to get off, inshallah. And I do thank you all so much for joining. But I also want to say, if there are topics that you all feel that we need to talk about, please let me know. If there's a video that you feel would be great, for the topic, for a topic, If there is a person or people that you feel I should have as guests, I want to know who they are. I want you to let them know who we are, the work that we've done, so that they can check out the vibe, whether it they feel that we would work well together or not. It, and any stories, any particular kinds of stories for the Muslim Storytellers House. We do have a couple of, I'm hoping, one I haven't gotten the confirmation yet because she wants to be able to speak with her husband about it. But the other, she's on board. We already have the date. I just got to put the flyer together. But I'm waiting because I'm hoping that another sister, the one that needs to talk with her husband, that I'll hear back from her first, because we'll be doing her conversation first, because the other one is, further out. So I will have those. And, whenever I can, Allah leads me to a topic that we need to have for our community discussions and or for Muslim Women Wednesday, I'll go ahead and, schedule those. I had intended this past weekend, either on Sunday or, my fallback day is Monday, to have a conversation, but I didn't. Both day I had two separate events on both, over the weekend, and and I did physical actual work, so it wiped me out, and so I said, you know what, we'll just next week, inshallah. But when I have to do physical labor like that, or a lot of driving, no, I'm good. Especially if I didn't get to have my sunnah nap. I just have to wait until the next time, inshallah. But I want to thank you all so much for joining. Barakallahu fikum. Thank you so much for the follow. And, I have many accounts on TikTok as well as Instagram. I do ask that you look for those specifically and follow those as well. I am trying to get to 10K on each of those accounts, inshallah, so that I can be properly monetized, inshallah. And so TikTok and these other streams will pay me directly, inshallah. And if you would like to donate, or if you would like to be a sponsor, if you have a business and or a nonprofit, please let me know. If you would like to make a donation, let me know that. Put donate in the DM. And if you would like to be a sponsor for future episodes of Radia's Real Talk podcast, put the word sponsor in the DM. So I thank you all so much for joining me, for following us, and subscribing, for those who have done that. And I will go ahead and close out. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. اللهم بلغنا رمضان لا إله إلا أنت إني كنت من الظالمين آمين. And as I always say, be resilient, inshallah, and have a good rest of your day, afternoon, or evening, or morning, wherever you are in the world. And inshallah, we will have another conversation and or storytelling very soon, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.